Okay. Okay. Look, we're stuck in the system, we can't get out. It's time for a change, stop running your mouth. I'm looking for words, but I can't get it out. Look for the light, but the sun blotted out.
Hold on, let me hop on the beat. Cause social injustice and prisoner mindset is something we gotta defeat. We idle these hoes and wear all these clothes with shoes that can't be creased. Steady looking for substance and change, but we searching all up in these streets.
Got a stain on my shirt that I can't get out. My people on high like the top of the mount. We thirsting for truth, but there's no spout. Look for a savior, but no one around.
But no one's around, but where do they look? It ain't in the church, it ain't in the book. We can't get a job, so we rather crook. They got us in chains, a fish on a hook.
Look, harvesting not bodies, harvesting not organs. Got them real big mad, cause they culture boring. Pimping the poor, Jim Crow at the door. Selling our souls, our daughters a whore. I wanna give in, can't take it no more. Don't wanna believe our people are more.
We swept our cup when we look at decline. We got a new bottle, it's filled with...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Malcolm Make a Culture Move podcast, where we cover everything from intense social topics to funny social trends. We're your host, Mark Jonathan.
Tabitha Sarai.
G.
And as always, we have a great podcast for you all today. But before we get started, if we can have our brief disclaimer.
Alrighty, y'all. So here at the Make a Culture Move, the Malcolm podcast, we cover a lot of intense and oftentimes controversial.
We have a great podcast for you all today. But before we get started, if we can have
controversial topics that do not represent Malcolm as a whole. So please keep that in mind as we dive into our podcast. Yeah,
absolutely. So getting started, as you guys can see from the title, we do have a tribute to Miss my grandmother, Cicely Tyson. Man, I know we are a little bit late, you feel me, but we definitely felt like we had to pay our respects, pay tribute. So just for today, we have a little information about her. We're assuming that you all hopefully know this lady. But we do have some information, have some scenes from her most notorious movies. And yeah, so just kicking off to the first article, we have 10 of her most memorable performances.
It wasn't an article. It's a presentation that G put together. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that, and then we'll go into the movie, starting, so to speak. So here we go.
Understood.
So this is what we got. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess we're just gonna stay right here. Go ahead, G, if you want to.
All right. So yeah, I just wanted to, honor Granny Nana Cicely Tyson and her passing. So she was born December 19th, 1924. 1924. And she passed away January 28th, 2021. She lived a beautiful, long life. 96 years old, y'all. 96 years old. She lived a beautiful life.
Yeah, most people don't make it till the age of, they don't even make it to 30. So that's a beautiful thing.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So just a little background about her. She was born in Harlem, New York. Her parents were West Indies immigrants. She started off as a model. Her mother was very religious, and she felt like Cicely was going down a sinful path, and she kicked her out. Her first acting gig was in 1950. And she had 52 award nominations, 29 award winnings, including the NAACP Image Award, Gold Derby, Black Reel Academy, Primetime Emmy, and many, many more. She's been honored. I don't even think enough, honestly. I don't even think enough. Like she's just been honored in almost every aspect. And so, oh man, y'all, I love this woman. So let's see. couple of her movies and plays, of course not all, but Sounder was one of her first in 1972. And then, I hope y'all know The Help 2011, Fried Green Tomatoes, a good movie in 1991. Tyler Perry's A Fall from Grace in 2020. Listen to these dates, y'all. Mama's Flores Family, 1998. Woman's of Brewster Place, an amazing movie, 1989. Idlewild, love this movie, 2006. East Side West Side was a TV series she starred in 1963 and 64. How to Get Away with Murder. I love me some How to Get Away with Murder. 2014 to 2020. That's a long time, y'all. 6 years. Sweet Justice in 64 and 65, and many, many more. She starred in a lot. And if you don't know her, you know her. You need to get to know her. You need to recognize her, know her face and her name, and know the two together. So many things that she starred in. Even from the beginning of her career, where Black entertainment wasn't prevalent and popular and wasn't much of a thing in the acting world, her roles and movies that she played in were still correlated to the Black story.
100%.
Like,
and even just to add to that, oh wait, go ahead, G, my fault.
No, go ahead.
Okay, even just to add to some of the list titles, Roos was another major one that she played in. You feel me? The mother of Kuta Kinte, I believe. Again, just the power that she brought to each role she played. Like, it was always, well, for majority of my life, you feel me, when she was a little bit older in age, like, she always played like the grandmother, just like the one stronghold in a family. And, that's what my grandmother was. So, that's why I started off the podcast by saying, my grandmother, like, because that's really what she was for me, my family, a lot of the people that I know. It just really spoke to her character. And although she was acting, like, you could tell that, like, it's almost like it was really her. You feel like she just had some words that she might have been reading, but it was her character, really her spirit. Beautiful
you
lady.
can tell there's some scenes that she had where she probably went off script because she was really feeling it and had to let some stuff be known. Love this woman. Did you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, you want to get back to the slide?
Yeah. Definitely. Let me share. Let me get back over here. Okay.
So just a couple pictures of her, y'all. This woman's beautiful. Even in her older age, starting off young, she was beautiful, and growing into Black don't crack, but it's more than that. It's more than that with her. Like, her humility shows through her age, I feel like. She just, look at this woman. Look at her, how she's dressing. Like, she's just all kind of classy. Like, I love her. Like, she's just
Queen.
Yes, absolutely. She deserved, she deserved that long life that she lived. And I just think, that humility that she had about herself. I've listened to a lot of other entertainers or, actors and actresses speak to how they kind of felt like she just adopted them. She just adopted them into her family because she saw potential in many Black stars that they didn't see in themselves, and it pushed them to be better. And just to have that figure, man, to have met her would have been so honorable.
I definitely, I don't know. I know her in some roles, like A Fall from Grace. Definitely know her from some Madea movies that Madea had or Tyler Perry had put together. I can't personally say that I'm like a fan, but I can't say I don't like her either. I didn't know that she passed away, so that was news to me. But yeah, it's just, she's one of those people in the community that people recognize and know solely based on her career. I never heard a bad thing about her. You hear bad things about people like Tyra Banks and how like horrible she is as a person. You've never heard anything horrible about this woman, which is really a good thing, says a lot about, as you were saying earlier, about her character and who she is and how she represented herself and presented herself out in the community. So yeah.
Absolutely. And, she definitely survived, like, through multiple different stages of life. You feel me? Experienced everything there almost was to experience. So that's why I feel like that's another reason what played to her roles, because it's almost like she was truly like living in everything that she played in. You feel me? Like there's a reason why, people like Tyler Perry and other producers and directors wanted her specifically to be the stronghold of whatever they were trying to portray. So yeah, just to add on to what Tabitha and G was saying.
Yeah, and to just land me off of what Mark was saying real quick, like, when you listen to directors and cast producers talk about, what goes on the scene, they choose people strategically, not just for what's good for the movie, but what's good for the background of the back scene, what we don't see. I've heard directors say that it's important to have people who are motivational to the whole crew and to the whole set, because you have somebody who's not, it definitely steers the energy of whatever the production is, movie, TV show, into a negative aspect. So when you have somebody who's just super loving and motivational and plays her role to a T and also pushes everybody else to play their role to a T, I mean, it's a beauty in that.
Right. And I think that, I don't know, that this is like something that like it's hard for me because I don't idolize. I'm not saying that you guys do idolize her, but I don't, when it comes to celebrities and stuff like that, when they pass, I don't know them personally, so it's hard for me to be like, I definitely know what their family's going through. I'm going through. I know what it's like to lose a family member. Don't get me wrong, but I mean,
I just think culturally we have to pay tribute to those who came before. The entertainment world is a huge aspect of the Black culture, and going into the entertainment field, there are people you have to look up to and people who you don't look up to. You have to know the difference of who is someone to look up to and someone who not to look up to. Not to idolize, but if that's the field that you want to go into, you have to look at people who have done it successfully and who do it with humility, because that humbleness, a lot of people lose it. And a lot of people lose it. And as long as she's been in the game, I mean, she was alive 96 years and was in the entertainment world for almost 50.
More.
Like it's not about idolization. It's about honoring her life in a way where not everybody gets to do that. And she started from a place where black entertainment wasn't a thing. So she
Not
was
in the
still
movies, at least.
Exactly. She was still she was being casted in white productions and white films and still holding on to her Black character.
I definitely understand what y'all saying. I'm not, like I said, I don't think, I just was speaking from my own self and like how I look at things, because I think it's good that we do have Black representation in media and things like that, but you have to look at the roles and what allow her to play. She played at the beginning, she played slave roles and stuff like that. So of course, even today, when you look at the roles that our Black men and women are allowed to play, it's rare that you see like them playing a role that where they're in a good professional skill set, and where they're like the light shining good on them. The other day I watched the other day I watched the Photograph, and I'm like, okay, so these are two Black characters, Lisa Ray, and I forget the other guy's name. But he's a really good actor no matter what movie I see him in. I'm just like this, like I can stand behind this because these are people that are in like around my age group. They're young actors, and they're aspiring to show that other side of what it is to be Black. You know what I mean? Being Black and successful, and the trials and tribulations when it comes to finding, Black love. So I think even a Fall from Grace, that was a good movie that she played in because it kind of showed that same thing, the struggles of what it is to be Black and to be in a relationship. The other day I seen Medea's Family Reunion, and she played that great auntie or that grandmother that was talking about, seeing Black men and women gyrating and being half naked outside, and to show what it like the toxicity of Black culture compared to that older generation. And it kind of goes back to what Mark was saying before. It speaks to the time that she lived through. She was born in 1924. She's seen desegregation. She's seen Black women get the right to vote. Like, she's seen all kind of stuff. So I would love to hear her like political perspective on like what any of that stuff has ever done to better us as a people, and how does she see people getting shot in the streets, mass incarceration, all that stuff, and how it relates back to her time. Because it just would be interesting to hear her perspective as an older woman that is kind of part of that 1%, that top 10% of Black people that get that high income.
So we get back to her tribute and play her clips.
Yeah, I don't know if I think Mark has something to say.
Go ahead, Mark.
That was a very valid point. I guess the only thing I could really say about that, like it definitely for like the movies that like for Black movies specifically, like I like when it's like relatable to some of the situations I've been in, seen, heard of, that type of stuff. So like as far as them playing like a role outside of that, like the only movie I can really like think of is like stuff like Superfly or like Black Panther or something like that. You feel me? But like I feel like I definitely like how relatable she was, because she was the same as like my grandmother, like that same loving, still with like getting your butt. You feel me? I ain't gonna say the other word, but like at the same time, she's gonna make sure she loves you, and that that she loves you, and that it's out of love. So like I feel like what you're saying is very valid and true, but I feel like that relatable aspect is what made it so nurturing in a sense. You feel me?
Right, and I just kind of back off of what you just said, Mark. Like, it's because of those slavery roles and stuff like that, where a lot of us are so detached from that time period, and we don't really see how it like relates back to today. That I feel like a lot of our young people don't know who she is, and they can't really relate to the character that she's trying to bring out, because some of us are just like that grandmothering or that mothering spirit or that person in our families that play that role is kind of missing. So a lot of us are raised by media and stuff like that. So to see that person like fulfilling that role, and which is lacking in our lives, is something that we need. So yeah, but just to kind of jump into this clip, the first one, and I'm gonna go down the line of clips. This is from the Hall of Fame of 2020, and this is her speech that she gave. And I don't know, y'all. I watched this and I just kind of thought it was interesting. So let's get into it.
So again, these are just to honor her, not to.
One of the journalists stood up and said, "Miss Tyson, I discovered a bit of prejudice in myself while watching the movie Sounder. When I asked what it was, he told me that he could not accept the fact that my son, the oldest one, referred to his father as daddy. The confusion came about because my son was black, his father was black, and he called him daddy. The reporter said the confusion and the discovery of his prejudice came about as a result of the fact that he could not understand nor accept the fact that this little black boy was referring to his father, who was black, as daddy, because that's what his little white sons called him, and he was white. I can't remember that I was able to ingest that without finding it difficult to swallow. I became aware of the fact that there were some issues that I had to address. That was one. And that I would choose my career as my platform. I am extremely grateful that what I refer to as divine guidance led me to this experience and gave me the future of my career. I made up my mind I just could not afford the luxury of being an actress. There were some issues I wanted to address. And as I said, I used my career as my platform. That it would bring me to a moment like this is nothing that I ever fathomed. I just was doing what I felt was important for me to do. I want to say thank you to the Academy.
Alrighty.
If I could just highlight that last one. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, if I could just highlight that last sentence you was saying, she was just feeling what she thought was important for her to do. I mean, that kind of speaks to what we've been saying already. Like, it was really just her being her in most of her roles. Like, I'm gonna say must have, because I was born in 2000, so all I really know is from then on. I've definitely watched some movies from the past, but definitely when she was older in age, you feel me, like I could just tell, like, although she was reading a script, like it was really like mother was just like performing. A lot of times it felt like she was speaking to me, calling me to do something, or my sister would probably say the same stuff. So yeah, just to highlight that last sentence, you feel me? She was just doing what she felt was important for her to do.
Absolutely.
But what I was gonna say before was that it kind of just goes back to what I was saying before when I said that and like I don't know, like in the movie Medea's Family Reunion, when she was talking about what she's seen in the youth compared to what she had grew up with, she's calling she was like in that small, I would say it was like maybe like a 2 or 3 minute clip in that movie. She was speaking to our generation and calling us to action to kind of not revert back, but to change the way that we act. Like, why you got to be half naked out here? Why you got to do X, Y, and Z? Why you got to be gyrating? Why you got to be, just making us look bad as a people, man. I'm just gonna be honest. It does not make us look good to be walking outside half naked, showing our bodies off. Like that is not the way to go. And I'm telling you, I watched that movie a couple of days ago, and I'm just like, man, a lot of the parts in that movie I didn't necessarily agree with, but that part right there, I was like, yes, somebody needs to hear this. Somebody.
100%.
All right, so if you don't got nothing, I can just move into the next clip.
Nope. I'm just
Cool beans. All
I don't
right.
have
So,
no controversy towards what she said. I feel where she's coming from, so and I hear and understand where she's coming from.
definitely. And so this one was interesting also. One minute. Okay. So sorry y'all, technical difficulties. I don't know what just happened. But yeah, we do not endorse this commercial.
At all.
And yeah.
You were just on the cover of this month's issue of Elle magazine. And it's the Women in Hollywood issue. Let me ask you this. How is it being a woman in Hollywood today different for you than when you started?
Let me just interject a little story here. When I did the movie Founder, I was sent to Europe to promote it. I went to Paris, and there they decided, Elle magazine decided they wanted to do a cover story on me. And so we had a date, photographer, went out in the street, up and down, all over it. It was a glorious day. Took pictures here, there, and everywhere. And then he took me to a confectionery store. It was set outside, and he offered me a seat, and then he disappeared. When he came back laden with a bowl about that size, with ice cream up to here, and whipped cream, and cherries, and this, that, and the other, and said to me, "Eat it." I said to him, I said, I don't eat ice cream. He said, of course you do. Everybody eats ice cream. And this place is known for the best ice cream in Paris. So, enjoy yourself. Sorry, I do not eat dairy products. Oh, he said, oh, that's not good. Just taste a little bit. I said, you don't understand. I'm a vegetarian, and I do not indulge in dairy products. So I'm sorry, I cannot do that. And so he decided that he was going to spoon feed me, right? He took the spoon, picked it up for a little bit, and started to bring it to and I just took my hand and put it down. And I said, you don't seem to understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell you that I am not going to eat this. Okay, so we should, do something else. So he said, you're really not going to eat it? I said, no. He said, well, we won't do the story. I said, oh, okay. And I got up and I went and got into the car and was driven back to my hotel. 40 years later, here comes a call that they want to do a cover story on me. I said, who? No,
You ain't forgot.
No. I said, you're mistaken. I think they've made a mistake. They don't mean me. So I told them the story. They said, they don't remember it, obviously. So they came and they interviewed me, and we had to wonderful shoot, and everybody's going crazy. And I said, they're going to find out that they that they turned me down about 40 years ago, and they're not going to print this story. Well, I never found out until I told them, and they have gone absolutely bananas over this cover. They have gone absolutely bananas.
All right.
That's awesome. It's just good to see how animated she is, even to that day. You feel me? And I'm even sure, like up to her final days, final hours, I can imagine her being very animated. Um, yeah, still, it's a touchy subject. You feel me? That's though I don't know her personally. You feel me? I definitely feel like we lost a high arcing member of the community. Um, did and some of the things that we go through today. Um, Prayers to her family. Forgot to say that earlier. Um, and yeah, I mean that's really all I got to say.
I thought that story that she was telling was interesting. I'm just like, girl, yeah, stick to your guns, but don't allow somebody to spoon feed you something you don't want to eat. Like you didn't like she had to let him know, like you don't get what I'm saying. Like no,
You're not hearing me. You're
yeah.
not listening.
So I thought that was interesting. I just thought that story was interesting. It was kind of funny, but it was interesting.
I think so too. I think, when hearing stories like that, it's like what the because I mean we don't know, the whole story detail for detail, but it's like that one what was he like the reporter, I guess, for the magazine. Um like, what did he tell the magazine as to why it didn't fall through? Like what was his story? What was his cover up story for when he went back? Because I'm pretty sure he didn't go back and tell them I tried to spoon feed her some ice cream forcibly multiple times, and she told me she don't eat ice cream, and I told her, well, then we not doing the shoot, and she got up and walked out. I'm pretty sure that's not what he went back and told his bosses at the magazine company. So it's like, when she says that she, 40 years later, they come back and ask her to do the cover again. And, in her mind, it's like, y'all must have forgot. I must have forgot 40 years ago, how I was disrespected, but you're asking me to come back. And when she said they didn't know until I told them, that kind of, to me, it insinuates that reporter went back and definitely gave the company some drag and some BS as to why the photo shoot didn't fall through for the cover of the magazine back then. And I think that would be why she said they went crazy over that story, over that cover story, after her telling them. So it's just crazy. Think of how far she's come, how many experiences that she probably have like that. She said they were in Paris. I think they were in Paris. And so, traveling like that back in the,
80s.
yeah, like we talk about and acknowledge racism in the United States, but the racism in other countries, right? It's the racism in other countries that's wicked. So it's like, for her to have gone through that, to stick to her morals and her values and not fold under pressure, I think that's something that it needs to be pushed and instilled, especially into the youth. You don't fold under pressure. You don't compromise your beliefs for anybody or for anything. It doesn't matter what it is. she could have simply, just because for wanting to be on the cover of that magazine, she could have, compromised herself and her beliefs and her dietary needs just to be on the cover of that magazine. And I'm sure somebody would have. I'm sure somebody would have. I'm sure somebody has. But that's not the message. The message is that you don't compromise yourself. And that's what I got out of that. It's like and I think the youth of today need to hear that and have that instilled in them so deeply, because peer pressure is real no matter where it's coming from. And it's so important to instill in youth that nobody controls you but you. You don't let nobody compromise what you believe in. If that's what you believe in, you believe in it, and you got to stand firm on that. I like that.
To kind of speak to something that you said, racism is definitely all over the world, especially in Europe. People don't think that slavery was a thing. Yes, whatever, it got abolished or whatever over there before it got abolished over here. But them people over there definitely were partakers in slavery. They definitely had lynch mobs. They definitely had all this stuff. Like when I was in Europe, in Germany specifically, because I was there for like 3 months for an internship. Those people were so freaking racist. And I'm telling you, like, if I was in that same field of profession, my stories probably would have been the same, even in 2020, 2019. I'm pretty sure it was like 2020, 2019. But I'm like, what she's saying is so universal, and it should speak to a lot of us, because literally you cannot fold on what you believe. You can't do that. If you're gonna stand strongly for something, you have to be firm in what you believe, and don't compromise yourself for anyone. Like, don't do it. That's definitely something that we could take from her to learn from, because there's a lot of gems that she drops. She may not be like, oh well, she's not doing it
You
to
gotta hear between the lines to catch the gems, but she drops them.
exactly. And so, I just think that that's a powerful thing that she said, because again, we cannot vote. And do not think that you're going to leave the United States to escape racism and go to another country, because you're going to experience that same racism. Let me tell you, that's something that I did. I'm like 3 months out of this country, won't have to deal with no racism. I don't got to deal with no white people. And I went to Germany, y'all. It's nothing but white people. But it's racism all over. I've cried about it. I'm pretty sure that if we were to dig a little bit deeper, I'm pretty sure there's stories that she has that relates to that. Because racism, it makes us all feel some type of way, no matter who it's coming from, no matter where it's coming from. So definitely.
And just to speak to what Ty was just saying, in other countries, Americans are the only people who only know English. You go and you go to other countries, and they take it as a sign of disrespect, and you don't even try. You don't even try to pick up on their language or their culture and how they speak, because they're not American. What do they need to speak American English for? Notice I'm saying American English, because we have our own English over here in the United States of America. So, and only Americans don't see the value and the necessity in learning somebody else's language. We go to Americans love to visit other people's countries, but don't love to learn the culture of the country that they are going to. They just want to go and romanticize and fantasize over the culture instead of learning about it. Americans are the only people who do that. When people come from other countries before they come to America, they study up and learn, like, what do I need to know before I go to America? They already know what to expect when they get here. So it's no surprise. They already know English. They know English in almost every other country. They pretend to play dumb because they want to see, where's your respect level at for our culture.
Man, exactly. And I can't even, that's the funny part though, right? I learned German. While I was over there. I took a 4-week intensive language course. So I know how to say, woher ist die Wein, woher ist die Autobus. Like I know how to speak German. So it's like, It's like those, and that just to throw this out there. German is the most ugliest language there is. When you say I, you say ich. Ich möchte eine. Blah, 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 blah. It's an ugly language. You don't even feel good in your mouth. But I can't say that it's always you can always blame it on the language because it and not knowing their culture because even no matter where you go, there's immigrants everywhere. There's immigrants everywhere, and being a person of color, a black person, to say that to throw it out there in a different country, these people are just I can't even like I definitely feel what you're saying. In France, that country is just not France, Paris, France, same thing. But yeah,
in France.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just real. That's just real.
For real. And just to add on, in part to what you are saying, learning multiple languages are only going to be beneficial. I mean, especially if you pass it on to your children. I mean, they come up learning different languages. We just had a guest on our virtual artist storytelling, Derek Martin. 3 of his kids are fluent in Spanish, like already, and I think they were like no older than like 12
the oldest was 12, I think. It might have been 14, but I think 12 was the oldest. So
exactly. But
that
you see,
just speaks volumes.
exactly.
That just speaks volumes. Like if it's nothing else, it's a respect thing. If it's nothing else, it's a respect thing. You feel me? Americans expect people to come into, this country already knowing English and already knowing the American culture.
Like it ain't hard to learn. It's hard to
Yeah,
learn
like
any
it's not hard
language.
to learn. But they don't wanna apply that same energy to themselves when they go visit another country, and that's crazy to me. It's like it's a respecting. How are you gonna respect any other culture to respect you if you don't respect them? Like, okay, this is going like trail off a little bit, but I watched the show Blacklist, and the main character, he deals with a lot of
I love that
people
show.
from different he deals with a lot of people from different countries, and he respects their culture down to a T. If they kiss on the cheek when they say hello, he kisses on the cheek when he's greeting them and says hello. If they handshake, he handshakes. If they bow, he bows. When he's dealing with somebody from a different country and their culture, he respects it. And I love it so much because that's why they respect him, because he has taken the time to adapt the education and the knowledge of their culture so that when he's dealing with them, he doesn't disrespect them in any kind of way. And Americans find other people's cultures so funny and weird and always like to make fun of stuff when that's not the case. Those are their customs. Some other countries they bow when they greet. They bow when they greet. It's their way of saying hello. Some cultures kiss on the cheek. Some cultures do both cheeks. Some cultures do one cheek.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to me, it's just a respect thing. You can't expect somebody to respect your culture if you don't even have the care or value to respect theirs.
Definitely. I definitely just to turkey back off what you just said. Again, going into America being one of the only countries that do not speak another language, we have more people in this country that speak Spanish than people that speak English, and it's crazy because less than 25% of Americans speak English. I mean, speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? I think Spanish should be a second language that all of us know, but we want to tell people that they have to come over here and speak another colonial tongue when they already speak a colonial tongue that was already pushed and forced on them. You know what I'm saying? So, see, I'm telling you guys, there's nothing that will diminish your value by learning another language. I learned German. I know Spanish. Yo hablo mucho español porque mi people, mi gente, they hablo español. I speak Spanish. They speak Spanish. That's my
Burrito
people.
taco.
Huh?
Burrito taco.
Oh my God.
Like I know a little Spanish though. I do know a little Spanish and I know a little French. Like I know French to the point where here, like I can I can read French and translate it. It's hearing it that's the complication for me, because although French and Spanish are very, very, very similar, there's those certain verbs and adjectives that are different, and I mean like super different, where it's not common at all, that it kind of throws you off a little bit. So it's that fluency that Tabitha is speaking to that is important. It's one thing to dabble. It's one thing to dabble in other languages, but to become fluent in that language, there's nothing like it. And I mean, for people who are complacent when working a job and just, you know, just being over broke, you get paid more if you have other languages under your belt. You automatically get paid more if you speak more than one language under your belt at a job. And that's because you can communicate with more people of different nationalities than just the American.
And see, Black people are so good at adapting to a different culture. Like if we learn another language, like I put on my one of my resumes that I speak some German. Literally, I got like, and I uploaded my resume on a website, and I got sent all these different job offers simply because I know a little bit of German. I'm like, come on, y'all. So us as a people, the best way for us to like really progress as a people when it comes to education is to leave the United States. One thing that I learned in Germany is that because of there's not that much youth over there, their old people are dying off, and they didn't have that many kids. Like there's no baby boomer generation over there. So if we move to a different country, we will have more opportunities because they need more people to fulfill those roles, because there's not like a youth there. There's no youth.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna definitely encourage my children to travel, because it definitely changes your perspective. And that's Cicely did that. She's seen other worlds, and that's why she has like a broad perspective, because she's seen a lot. You know what I'm saying? Us here, we don't see a lot except for what we see on TV and in the movies.
And that stuff is hardly ever a real representation of what's actually going on.
Especially like in Africa.
I don't want to say never, because you will sometimes get those times where it is a true representation, but I want to say hardly ever. Is it hardly ever a true representation of a different country?
Exactly. Like they depict Africa like so poorly sometimes.
Oh my God.
And it's like
they do Africa.
It's crazy. Man, but just to revert it back to Cicely for a second, you feel me? Even though she got that opportunity turned down 40 years back, you feel me? She was still able to get that opportunity again. Like even after standing on her own 10 toes, you know, refuting the guy who was trying to spoon feed her, which is very disrespectful. You feel me? She was still able to partake in that opportunity. You feel me? That's all my reason why you stand on your own. You feel me? That opportunity will present itself if it's deserved.
I just think of how she talks about how she handled herself in that. It teaches something in that, because I honestly cannot say that, because he literally tried to spoon feed her. Like this is not a metaphor that we're using to figuratively show what was taking place. He literally took the spoon, scooped it with some ice cream, and tried to put it in her mouth. He literally tried to spoon feed her. I don't know how I would have responded. Yeah, I don't know how I would have responded. I feel like the ice cream bowl would have been in his face or on his head, or I don't know how I would. So the way she talks about how she responded and acted to that, it's like it teaches you that level of class. Because she did it in a classy way. Like, you're not hearing me, you're not understanding what I'm telling you. I don't eat ice cream, I don't eat dairy products. So what
even after being disrespected.
Even after being disrespected. So it's things that can be taught, you know, subliminally. Gotta pick up on those things. But we got one more video. Just one more video.
Yeah. And this is the American theater wing thing.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share this good old screen over here, y'all. Bear with me
This
for a second
was,
as I get this together.
yeah, this was like her honoring moment, the moment where different celebrities came together just to, give her accolades and her flowers before, her passing, which I think is important for us to do. This happened. I think this is 2018, 2016, 2016. So her being given her flowers in 2016, is just a blessing just to be able to see, because so oftentimes, um and not just celebrities but people in general don't get their flowers while they're alive. They don't get the love and the accolades that they deserve when they're alive. And so just to see that, I just think was dope and beautiful, because she definitely deserved her flowers while being alive. Yes.
Mm, okay.
Ooh, happy day.
And Tab, is this how long is this?
We're celebrating the American Theater Wing and celebrating live theater across America. And we're mainly here to honor Cicely Tyson.
She's just brilliant activist, and everything that she's done for arts education and everything like that. She's just very remarkable.
No complaints, no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets.
But she shines when she's on stage. I mean, it's incredible.
She has managed to remain an artist and have the soul of an artist and the spirit of freedom, and for so many decades.
Her life from Broadway to theater to television has meant so much to us. And so it's wonderful to just come here and sing for her and just make her feel good tonight.
Believe in yourself right from the start. Believe in the magic right there in your heart.
She's one of the first actresses that inspired me to become an actor, to be honest.
To see another Black person of being prominent and in like roles that are just very strong and have a lot of weight to them.
The things that she does has inspired many a young actress like myself to do good work.
Her heart, though it has sometimes been hurt, bears a strong resemblance to a daffodil. It always flowers again.
Sometimes the clouds hang low. I can hardly see the road.
Seeing her on stage as, at the age she is just, it is so overwhelming, because it makes you understand that if you take care of yourself, if you stay youthful in spirit, you can work until there's no limit.
It's all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z.
On behalf of my friends at the American Theater Wing, I'm pleased to announce and honored to present Cicely Tyson with a small token of affection and admiration for extraordinary contribution to American theaters.
The fact that I'm in this business and that I'm standing here accepting one of the most prestigious awards given to anyone in the business is a source of amazement. There's nothing like having someone behind you. And I fell in love with a woman some 30 years ago. And she said to me, life for me ain't been no crystal stairs. And so I'm asking you not to turn back. Don't you stand on the floor because you find this kind of hard. Don't you fall now. Let me remind you, it took me 30 years to come back here. 30 years. Trip to Bountiful. Did it. Thank you. And God bless you all. Thank you.
So that video specifically, I really wanted to show just for people, because no matter who that person is in your life, it doesn't matter who it is. I think it's important. You have to give people their flowers while they're alive. I just feel like it's something you have to do, no matter who that person is in your life. You love somebody, let them know, and you give them that love, and you shower them with that love while they're alive, because it builds and creates happy and positive and loving memories, and that's all you're left with when people die. That's all you're left with when people die, is the memory of them. So, you know, to just be humble and show humility and have a loving heart, especially for the people who love you, and the people who ride for you, and the people who push you, and you love, they love you. Tell them that now, because honestly, tomorrow's not promised to nobody. To nobody. And so oftentimes we lose people without having and I don't want to say opportunity, but the will to give them their flowers while they're alive, because we have, every day we wake up is an opportunity to give somebody their flowers.
Definitely. And definitely know, do some research on the people in your community that have done, works in order to, set the foundation for you in whatever aspect of life, as far as a career path that you're trying to take. As I said before, I personally don't know her that well, because that's not a path that I've chosen to take in my life. But with everything that we went over today, and kind of being educated on who she is, what she's done for the Black community, and seeing the roles that she has played in the past, definitely helps me to get a better understanding of what it is that she has done for her community, and seeing how much she actually does care for her people. And regardless of how you go about, trying to make that impact, it's that while it is important, it doesn't make that big of a difference, because again, it was like somebody said to me recently, we all have different ways as to how we think we can help our community, and playing that role and being that representation that Black people need to see in media and in movies, and fulfilling roles that we typically don't get, is something that we all need to see. So that's my last words for Miss Cicely. Thank you for what you've done, and rest well until that day comes.
Just again, thank you for being a grandmother, and rest in heaven, rest in paradise.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for your legacy. Whether somebody, you got big shoes to fill, so whether somebody does it or not, you definitely left a legacy for the entertainment field of our Black culture. So yeah, that's it on that. Um, Definitely rest peacefully. I think speaking to what Tabitha was just saying, because so oftentimes we hear and we see the big names, and from social media, who the celebrities are, the athletes are, the musical artists, the actors and actresses, but how oftentimes do we see the scientists and the judges, the lawyers, the doctors? Because we Black people in those fields exist. They're real. We have just real life activists out here on the streets who are huge inspirations to the community. So although the entertainment world, and I'm including music, movies and TV shows, films, plays, and sports, right? I'm including those things into our entertainment world, and speaking because it's although it's a big part, it's not the only part. And I think so many times society only highlights that part of our culture, and it makes our youth feel limited in their power and thinking that those are the only paths to success that they can have. And what I appreciate what we do with our virtual artist storytelling is that we bring guests on to show that success is not only possible, but it comes in many different forms. Many different forms. We had Dr. DeLacy Davis. He was a police officer to fund his music career. So he being in the main part, you feel one of the big parts of our culture, he also took one of those things that is seen as a negative impact and kind of to me gave a highlight of how he can be the change of how the police system operates. You feel me? And to have, he probably would have never known that or been pushed into that if he didn't need something to fund his music career. And it was something that it turned him into an activist. It turned him into an activist for his people. So it's like, I think the entertainment world shelters our youth into thinking what their powers are, when their powers go outside and bigger and beyond than just the entertainment world. Although it is a huge piece of our culture, it's not the only piece of our culture. And I think society highlights it as if it is. And so just to speak to Tabitha's point, it's not. It's not. It's not the only piece of our culture. There are a multitude of role models in the Black community that are not actors and actresses, that are not rappers or singers, that are not athletes. And it's important that we do our research and we find out who those people are.
Absolutely.
Because their impact is, probably bigger than the celebrities' impacts that we have, but it's just not highlighted. And that's the scary part, because the works that our activists do in the community on foot in the actual streets doing it gets overlooked, whereas the foolery that our celebrities do in the streets every day is highlighted.
Definitely.
That's all I wanted to say on that. I just needed to end that out on that.
Okay. Mark, if you'll close us out, sir.
Yes, indeed. So today, as titled, is our tribute to Cicely Tyson. Like we've all said, rest easy, rest in paradise. But with that being said, please follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have Mac will make a chess move, Mac will make a culture move, virtual artist storytelling, pushing pawns, and then Instagram Macam303, and then Pinterest Macam303. Please subscribe to our YouTube at Make a Chess Move -Macam. Please cop some Macam apparel. And with that being said, we are out. We love y'all. Y'all Macam out there.
Y'all Macam.